I am really excited to be here on this special. It feels like a special edition. It's not really, but it's a special edition of the City Builders podcast with Ted Bambino, who is the president of the Redding Rodeo Association. And the 78th Annual Redding Rodeo is coming up in just a few weeks. And this conversation is a lot of fun about the history, some of the lease negotiations, what the future of the rodeo is. And we really talk about a lot of the aspects of the rodeo today. So it's going to be a really fun conversation.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ted.
Welcome to the City Builders Podcast, brought to you by the Redding Chamber of Commerce. I'm Todd Jones, President and CEO. In each episode, we bring you insights from local business leaders, tackle important issues, and explore what's shaping the future of Redding. Whether you're a business owner or just interested in our community's growth, this podcast has something for you. Thanks for joining us. The City Builders Podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Redding-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the Chamber, and we could not do business without them.
I think last year, getting my son into Mutton Busting, my 5-year-old Tanner, that made the rodeo so much more personal to me. I mean, I've grown up, I've gone to it almost every year. I've lived here for 16 years. Of course, from Weaverville, I came down when I was a kid every once in a while. I didn't come down quite as much, but having my kid in Mutton Busting, like, it just made it feel like this is my town. This is such a big part of our community.
It is.
And I've always appreciated it, but it just feels like something, I don't know if it's just me being more aware, but it feels like the last 2 years, it feels different.
Yeah, it does feel different. And for me growing up here, I mean, I was born and raised here, and my wife is actually 5th generation Redding, so she really, her family experienced it from the beginning. But for me, you know, coming as a youth and then coming in my teenage and my 20 years, you know, a lot of times I came to the rodeo and didn't even see a horse. I had different intentions. So as you get older, you start looking at it differently. And I think the big turning point for me was when I was part of the Rodeo Association, and we had the situation a few years back about the potential of selling that property. And making a different environment down there at the rodeo grounds. The community came out in droves. It wasn't the Redding Rodeo Association. It wasn't me. It wasn't an individual or a group. It was the community that came out in droves to protect that from happening. And that really put it in perspective for me on what it meant to this community. And then you go down there with just a different feeling about the rodeo, the grounds. I've had sponsors tell me of recent, and I'm 68 years old, so I have to listen to the youth of our community now because the youth is our future. And tell me, hey, you guys need to do some, you know, smaller events down there because the youth of this community just likes to go to the rodeo grounds. They just like to be at the rodeo grounds. So our launch party this year on the 9th is changing from the stake feed to an actual launch party. It's going to be more youth-orientated with Mutton Busting.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Line dancing, which, you know, I'm not a big line dancer, but we're going to have the line dancing. Better in Boots is going to be there. And then we're going to have Jake Jacobson concert, which is a new up-and-comer. It's not a big ticket item like Corey Kent and Red Bluff.
But he's going to be like the next Luke Bryan, right?
Exactly. You never know. But he's going to be doing a concert. And so those are the things that we have to really instill into the rodeo is keep it the same, but change it. That makes sense.
No, I think it totally makes sense. And I've said this so many times on my podcast over the last couple of years that Redding does a really good job of like really honoring the legacy, but looking towards the future. And there's so many things. I mean, the rodeo is a perfect example, but even downtown. You know, when my parents who live in Weaverville, who grew up in Redding, came downtown and walked Market Street for the first time since it became reopened. You know, brought them back to the 60s growing up here, where that was Main Street, USA, Highway 99, Christmas tree was right in the middle of the road. Like we all see like, oh my gosh, downtown's this new thing. Well, not really. Downtown is more like it used to be back in the heyday. But it's just been improved. And it's been amazing. So I think we do a good job of
a real good job with it. And, you know, I remember I went to St. Joseph's School right up the hill here. And we walked down from St. Joseph's School when they did the closure of the mall. And Linda Kruger at the time, she was one of my classmates in 7th grade, rode in the car for the last time down Main Street of Redding before they closed it up. still is in Redding.
Yeah.
She did the opening when they reopened it
Oh
up
my gosh.
here just whatever it was
Yeah.
a couple years ago and reopened it up. So those things, watching it evolve, it's amazing
That's so cool.
on how it is for us in this community. But it's all good stuff.
Yeah, but rodeo is such a big part. Rodeo is such a huge part of our
It is.
legacy. This is our 75th. Sorry, this is the 78th
78th
annual
year.
Redding Rodeo.
Correct. Yes. And it did start down in Anderson for, I think, 4 years before it actually came up to Redding and started the Redding posse, Sheriff's Posse with John Balma and his crew. And back then,
The Sheriff's Posse is the Asphalt Cowboys.
no, the Sheriff's Posse was actually the farming cowboys of the Shasta County area
Wow.
that came together to put on a rodeo each year. Where the Asphalt Cowboys came in was John Balma and the businessmen of Redding and the farms of Redding started to dwindle, and he needed people to promote the rodeo. So he had being the sheriff, he knew all the business people within the community and developed the Asphalt Cowboys. And their sole mission is to promote and support the rodeo. And so the Asphalt Cowboys was then born. So in our world today, we do rodeo, we do bulls and broncs, they do parades and pancakes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the joke philosophy about Asphalt Cowboys and promoting the rodeo. So it's a great relationship. It was fragmented over the years because of the political things with sheriff's races, which you can't imagine that happening. People took sides, and it really was personal, and it changed a lot of the dynamics between the two. But we're healthy now, and we're getting better, at really unifying the two clubs for the community. That's the ultimate goal, is for this community, and they do a good job.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you're the president of the Redding Rodeo Association, and how big is the association? And you're all volunteers, right? This is not
We are
full-time job for
100%
anybody.
volunteers. And what we have is we have the Redding Rodeo Association, which is quote unquote, it's old school, and I'm just telling, we're the men's group.
Yeah, right.
So we have about 180, members for lifetime to currents. And then we have the Women's Auxiliary, which was the women that supported the men's group. They used to come down and make lunches for work days and support the men's group. Well, now the Women's Auxiliary actually does functionality portions of the rodeo. They help with like the launch party steak feed. They help operation during the rodeo. And then now they spin off and they have Chicks and Chaps, which is part of that whole group. And then you have the Women's Association, which we call them the Blue Shirts. They wear blue shirts, and these are rodeo women, horse women that help support the rodeo. They do a lot of the token sales and help with the alcohol sales during the rodeo. And then we financially support them for their work that they do. But they're a group around the community with horsemanship things, and they buy the saddle for our queen, for example.
Okay.
So there's a lot of moving parts there with the structure of Redding Rodeo Association. But it's been that way for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So,
some things you can't change too much.
well, you don't want to change it, but then again, we're in 2026.
Right.
Policies and procedures must change.
Right.
Actual functionality of the group can stay the same, but we need to be a little bit cognizant of that. In these days with policies and procedures and
Sure.
and I'm involved with other organizations in this town, and I sit there and policies meetings, and it's going, oh my gosh, I got to implement this in rodeo. But you implement it, but you don't make a big deal out of
Right,
it, right?
right.
So anyway, go good.
So let's talk about the property a little bit, and then we'll talk about the rodeo coming out of here in just a week or so. So a few years ago, you talked about it. Why the rodeo is so special. It's such a big deal. A lot of the community showed up. So a few years ago, most people that listen to this podcast probably know, but there was a I don't want to get into all the weeds of it, but there was an opportunity or an unsolicited offer
Correct.
to buy the property, because that property that the rodeo sits on is owned by the city of Redding.
Correct.
So there was an unsolicited offer that came forward to purchase a property with a lot of kind of plans for what it could look like, which some of it may or may not have included the rodeo. We weren't really sure at the time.
We did not know.
So that didn't happen. We're going through the Riverfront specific plan right now as we speak, which is really a planning document for the city of Redding to talk about how could this how could this area look in the future? And actually, I'd love to get your thoughts on that too, which is interesting. But so it didn't happen. The property wasn't sold. It's still owned by the city of Redding. There's a lot of challenges down there right now. You know, the Civic, the future of the Civic, but the rodeo, you guys got a long-term lease in 2025. I think it was officially signed just last year.
It was a year ago next week. And it actually was, myself and Barry Tippin signed it about 2 weeks before rodeo last year.
That's amazing. So what does the lease terms look like now? What does the lease terms look like? And then what does the kind of the future of the rodeo at that location look like for you guys?
The lease itself is a 25, 10, and 10, which is a 25-year lease with 2 10-year extensions. In the first 25 and the next 2 extensions, we have matrix that we have to meet. And our matrix are basically improvements of the grounds to get it to a certain level. With those matrix, we have a lot of initial plans, which we'll speak to here in a little bit, but we want to make this facility more of a community event center as opposed to the 1 week a year. During our negotiations and the unsolicited offer was, hey, they only use that thing 1 week a year.
That's a common thing we hear.
Right. And why don't we put some structure down there which will generate revenue for the city and be, part of the community for a long time? Well, we didn't know if that included us or not included us. We assumed it did not include us because at that time there was some dissension problems there.
Yeah.
But, with this plan and what we're trying to do, not knowing what the Civic's future is and that building itself, is to make this more of a facility that can be utilized by the whole community in multiple reasons. With the association, still being in control of it and running it and operating it. Now, what that'll do theoretically is we will probably change from a fully volunteer organization to hired staff to manage certain things.
Okay.
Because you can only, me being a volunteer in the president's role, and I'm retired now, so I'm blessed to have the time, but you couldn't possibly do this job properly and well having a business or a job you have to tend to.
Yeah.
So last couple of years, we had a general manager for a short time to help us through the legality things, policies and procedures, and all the things that you just can't possibly do. Our insurance, our liabilities, are huge now these days that we have to protect ourselves. So all that stuff plays in. But going forward, if we're going to do what we're going to do with our facility, then we're going to need to have paid staff people to take care of it. Similar to like we're doing out at Sports Park.
Yeah, right.
The city's running it a little bit now, but obviously with a little different intentions. They learned a lot from what happened to the sports park from outside agencies coming in and running it privately.
Right.
We're not that way. We have a vested interest in Redding from the heart and then also from the ground. So you got those two to really make things happen.
Yeah, you guys really love that place. I mean, you guys put in
countless hours
and countless, so much money too, every year to upkeep and everything else. So what are some of the, well, actually I want to talk to the lease. So you got a 25, 10, and 10.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the first time the Redding Rodeo Association has actually had a long-term lease.
Ever.
It's always been these short-term, keep kicking the can down the road leases for like 50 plus years, right?
It's been 10-year leases. It was the maximum it's ever been. And, during that process, it created some problems because the things that the city was requiring were impossible for the rodeo to achieve. And then we had change of leadership, and the city would have change of leadership. So it would be, again, kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just do another 10-year lease and, keep it simple. And that's the way it was, for years. And any lease on any properties in any business, the city could ask us to leave at any time frame. So in this new lease, that still would be the case legally, but there would be some monetary restitution to the Rodeo Association with the amount of monies that we put in, over the years and the amount of monies we're going to continue to put in, and lots of it here going forward. Right. So I don't think Wilson, the new city manager, is going to come in and kick the rodeo out. But in fact, if that were the case 10, 15, 20 years from now, the Rodeo Association is protected financially with our investments.
Yeah. I mean, so you guys have 45 years now, basically. So that gives you opportunities for number one, making big investments in the property. And number two, I'm assuming there's some type of financing component too, where, if you have 45 years, you can you raise money and finance and all that kind of stuff that comes along with that, which we don't need to get into, but it gives you an opportunity to invest in the property.
We can talk a little bit because it's really important for the public to understand that is when you only have a 10-year lease and you want to go get grant monies.
Sure.
And you go to a grant for, let's just use $1 million for an example. First thing they're going to look at is your books. They're going to look at your structure, and then they're going to look at your longevity. When you only have 10 years of longevity fact, they're not going to do anything for you because there's too much risk there involved to giving that much money away. Now, if you go looking for a grant and you look for private money or you look for donated money and you have a 45-year lease, you're more attractive to the return on the investment or whatever that may be. If it's a private donation, a private philanthropy group will want to see a return to the community, not necessarily themselves, but to the community. And with a 45-year lease, that becomes more attractive to them as well. So it fits the dynamics of the future.
Yeah, that's great. So what does the rodeo grounds look like 10 years from now?
I can't really reveal some of the thoughts. Our plan with the foundation group is to reveal that possibly at the end of the year. With what we're doing now is we're changing our Hall of Fame program a little bit. In the end of the year, September, October, we will have our Hall of Fame gala.
Oh, great.
And we're hoping to be able to announce what our plans are. Now, this all has to be, city approved with the Riverfront Specific Plan.
Right.
The Riverfront Specific Plan, if we want to roll right into that.
Yeah, sure.
We were involved with that from the get-go. We were gatekeeper. Baron Browning sat on, the table with the group as far as the progress with it. We had our input, and a lot of the input was good, but the organization that did the plan itself had to come up with some, this is my opinion more than that fact, had to come up with a real grandiose plan, and they do it.
I saw it. I was trying.
And it was like, okay, that's fantastic. Would it work? Yeah, probably, we would make it work. But the reality of it is that really what the community wants. The community does not want this rodeo grounds to move 20 feet.
Yeah, one of the plans was to move it to the south aspect of the Civic, basically.
Where the parking lot is.
That's a big shift.
So a huge amount of monies, big shift, not a lot of benefit. And the thing about that is when you're doing rodeo, there's a lot of unforeseen things like trucking in and trucking out and parking and animal welfare positioning. And, there's all those things to consider. And that particular layout did not address any of those. Now, did it address, community events and, rolling from the Civic into a concert outside? Yeah, that was all great, but we can still do that. So, but some of the plans will be revealed at that time on what we do, because we have to make sure, the city is on board with, what our plans. It doesn't affect the Riverfront plan at all, other than the 30-year pie in the sky plan.
Sure.
And that's what everybody in rodeo got upset about, was they're not going to do this. They can't do this in the plan, and they're gonna put it on the planning commission in the general plans, and they're not going to deviate from that. Well, the realistic part of that happening, and you're young, but I'll never see, and a lot of people in their mid 40s and 50s will never see that happen. So we're just going to go forward with today and the realistic plans in the near future, which would be 10 to 20 years, the near future, not 30 to 40.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, because, there was that plan that came about to buy it, redevelop it, theoretically tear down the Civic and move everything, right? There was just there was a lot of unknowns. I don't think anyone really knew, even the group that was looking at buying it, I don't know if they fully knew what was going to happen yet, right? And I keep telling people the Riverfront Specific Plan is a planning document, right? This group out of San Francisco or Sacramento, they're going to come up here, and we're probably going to go through this summer, I would assume, and kind of finalize this Riverfront Specific Plan with a bunch of renderings and a bunch of pictures and a bunch of roads. And it's the northern riverfront, which is owned by the city, and the southern riverfront, which is owned by Kuchar's family. And at the end of the day, there is $0 right now to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's purely a planning document. I think people need to know that the Riverfront Specific Plan is here. It's like a zoning document. Here's what could happen. Here's what we could do, but there is zero funding to do this. And currently with the city of Redding in the state they're in right now, they're not going to do it.
Right.
You know, and so we need to be grateful that we have people like the Redding Rodeo Association, even Manchester Redding, who put so much into the civic over the last 10 years.
Right.
The Redding Rodeo Association, you guys are putting your money where your mouth is to improve that, because the city is just not in a position to do it.
No, they're not. And we got a great relationship with them now through the whole ad hoc committee and all of that with the city of Redding.
It was contentious. Those were hot meetings.
They were hot, but they were very beneficial and structured. And Barry was here at the time, and Barry had a vested interest in to get it done. He really wanted. He's longtime Redding, and he really wanted to see that lease done and that property protected for many years for what the community wants.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, you've been the president for you're in your second year of the Redding Rodeo Association. Yeah. You got the long-term lease done, Ted.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Something you should be proud of.
It's more, and I appreciate that. I mean, born and raised here and living here, I moved away for 10 years, which is the best thing that happened. I moved down to the Sacramento area, and it really made me appreciate where we live.
Yeah.
Because once you go away and you come out of your house and there's no mountains and no lakes and no streams, you're just traffic and people, it's a different, we're very blessed to be where we're at. You know, 2 national parks, you know, the lakes. I mean, everything that we know about, everything in your handbook for the chamber.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, you get people that move here. And when I had my business, which was a fence company, I went out and, you know, spoke with people. And first thing, where are you from? Oh, we're from the Bay Area. Well, Redding people don't really like people moving here from LA. And my thought is, why wouldn't they want to live here?
Right.
Why wouldn't they want to live in this beauty? Why wouldn't they want to raise a family here?
Yeah.
And it became true for my family when my son moved away and was living in Sacramento and wanted to raise his family in Redding because of his upbringing.
Yeah.
And now I have a gate between my property and their property.
And your sons, or both of your sons, are running your business.
They are.
Ultra fencing.
They are.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a generational company now. So
yeah, they're doing good. My oldest son still lives in Woodland, doing well, and I'm very blessed with 7 grandkids.
That's amazing.
You know, I'm not going to stand up and show you my president's belt buckle with Redding Rodeo.
Yeah.
Montana Silversmith designs it, and the gal that designed it, we talked about it in Vegas, and she goes, "What's specialty?" And I go, "My grandkids."
Yeah.
So I have a birthstone in each one of my grandkids in my buckle for president of Redding Rodeo.
That's so cool.
There's 7 birthstones in there because they're special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to some rodeo.
Okay.
Some rodeo stuff. So last year was the first year you guys did 4 nights of rodeo. So
Year before.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
This will be the third year.
Correct.
This will be the third year that you guys have 4 nights of rodeo.
Right.
What you know, I actually always thought the Wednesday Bulls and Broncs was part of it, but kind of tell me what.
It is part of it, but it's not. And here's what happens is we're judged just like the contestants' points pool is the amount of money they win, and rodeos are judged by their purse that they pay. And you're ranked nationally by how much money is in your purse to collectively get the cowboys and cowgirls here. So with the rankings, we want to be in the top 60 of 700 rodeos, no less, so we can be broadcast live on the Cowboy Channel.
Yeah.
So we're at 42.
That's amazing.
And when we had the Bulls and Barrels events on Wednesday nights, that money that we spent did not go towards our total purse.
Okay.
So other rodeos were bringing in Bulls and Barrels. They're running it like before or after, not in conjunction. And so we were leaking in the standings a little bit because these other rodeos were, you know, seeing that. So we made the decision to go to 4 nights of rodeo and eliminate the Bulls and Barrels on Wednesday night, which is still, a lot of rodeos have it, but they're large enough to where they can absorb that. We were not large enough to absorb it. So that's why we went to 4 days. Last year, for example, And this is people that don't know rodeo. JB in Red Bluff was standing next to me in our sponsor area last year. And it was Wednesday night of the rodeo, Native American night. Our Wind River tribe people are doing their dance and everything. And they're showing the contestants for the bareback coming out to start the rodeo. And what happened, because our purse is so large and there's nothing else going on in the quote unquote West Coast swing, which, Red Bluff is coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
And then you have Clovis, and then you have a little Stony Ford rodeo, and then you got Redding. There's nothing else going on Wednesday night. So we have Bridwell stock contract out of Red Bluff, who's got some great bucking bulls and great bucking horses and wonderful people, by the way. They brought their best stock. We got the best cowboys. And Wednesday night, we probably had the highest ranking cowboys and rodeo stock
Wow.
anywhere in the West at any time of the year.
That's amazing.
At one time. And JB says, you probably had 70% of your contestants tonight
Wow.
are going to be at the NFR this year.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it
Because for
was
people that don't
phenomenal.
know, it's a combination point system where
It is.
it's the animal, the stock,
Yes.
and it's the cowboy.
Correct.
As put together to kind of make that
Right. So
point
when
system.
they score a rough stock ride,
Yeah.
40, 40, and then 40,
Yeah.
you're going to give me a 98 score.
Yeah.
So when you
Because
see
you want a real active animal.
Correct.
That's going to help you get a higher score.
Yeah, and now with technology, all these cowboys know their draw before they come to the rodeo, so they know that they're going to be drawing Indian Burn, which
Yeah.
is one of Bridwell's best bucking horses. They're going to make sure they're here, and they're make sure they're going to be here on ready to go, because one, they're going to win money, and they're going to put it towards the start of their season.
Yeah.
Nothing like starting off strong.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
it's well known in the cowboy world. And then last year too, I don't want to not speak about our gals, but our breakaway roping. Last year was our first year for breakaway.
Yeah.
And what we did with breakaway was we did equal money. So our tie down ropers, our team ropers, our bull riders, our saddle bronc, our bareback, everything was equal money. So breakaway was equal money. Well, those girls saw that. And I talked to a lot of them last year. One, they have beautiful horses, and you get
Yeah.
to see pretty horses. And I talked to them. I said, I asked them, hey, did you rodeo in? Meaning, did you leave your hometown and rodeo on the way to Redding, and then you're going to rodeo out to where?
Yeah.
They said, oh no, we came straight from Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Montana to Redding because you guys did equal money.
Wow.
And it's early in the season.
Yeah.
So them too want to get started in their money and their points, and so they come to a high paid out rodeo, which
Yeah.
we were, and they were great, and they're coming back.
That's
so we had them
amazing.
again.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I want to talk about some kind of viral moments
Yeah.
that happened at the Redding Rodeo. So a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago,
It's about 3 years.
3 years ago, a bull jumped the fence. That's obviously
Yes.
something you guys do not want to happen.
Right.
But you figured it out, and I think there's some really interesting things that came from that incident,
Yeah.
which are super fascinating that I think a lot of people don't know. So kind of tell us what
Yeah.
happened.
So if you noticed, our railing around our rodeo grounds, the famous, infamous red railing around our rodeo grounds, it's 7 feet 11 inches tall from the bottom, because I had to measure it
Yeah.
for other reasons. But it's not the first time a bull's ever jumped out of a rodeo arena, and you try to prevent that. So here's what happened: was the bull that bucked out was called Border Crossing. Was the name?
Perfect name.
Yeah, name of the bull. And the rider scored, I think, an 85. Well, if you watch the video, and you can pull this up on any YouTube video, once the bull bucked the cowboy off, the first thing it did was lifted its head, and it looked for where to go. It's a defense mechanism that
Yeah.
bulls have. Well, in rodeo flats, we have a lot of people right next to the railing.
yeah.
And there was a mishap in one of the boxes to where two people were in a verbal dispute, and the box cleared out.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So when that bull lifted its head, you can watch this whole
Yeah,
thing again
yeah.
now that you know this. The bull ran that way
Saw an opening.
and saw an opening and took it. So when it jumped the railing, it knocked over a gal or just kind of knocked over the chairs, and the gal fell over the chairs, and I think it hurt her ribs or whatever.
Okay.
And she went to the hospital to get checked out, and in the process found out that she had some tumors that were showing on her scans, and ultimately was cancerous, and she was able to get recovery.
It was
and
early detection.
treated,
I mean, it could have saved her life.
saved her life.
It was,
you know,
which is
potentially.
incredible.
But on the second half of that was the bull jumped through and ran through Rodeo Flats, which if you don't know Rodeo Flats, it's our sponsor area.
Yeah.
It's where we put our VIPs and our sponsors. It's a very high demand area.
It's a fun place to be.
It's
for
a
the
lot of
rodeo.
fun, you know, a lot of social things going on. And the bull ran in there. Well, in years past, on the bottom of Rodeo Flats, we have our alleyway, which we run our stock from our stockyards around to the other end of the arena for our timed events. And then our horses come off of the loading chutes and run through there. And we only do it twice a night. Well, I ran Rodeo Flats area with my wife. And we wanted those gates open because we had the stairways that went up and over.
Yeah, sure.
And ladies are all dolled up in their best attire, usually wearing boots for their first time, which are slippery on the bottom. And they're walking up these concrete stairs, which are not very easy to handle. Anyway, I talked to our arena director, and we decided, okay, we can leave the gates open from after the beginning when we get the stock in during the rodeo, and we're going to close them, you know, right at the end of the rodeo to run the stock back out. We have backup gates to protect that as well. So when the bull jumped out, it was able to run up the ramp and then down the ramp through those gates and out to the parking lot. If those gates weren't open, it would have been chaos.
Yeah.
And who knows? You know how, Rodeo Flats is very, very
would've been stuck in Rodeo
populated.
Flats,
It
you were
would have been running around in circles, scared to death with no place to go.
Yeah.
So it could have been devastating to people, the rodeo, the bull, who knows.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of good things that happened with that event. We handled it very well, obviously, with the people that were injured. The one lady that was injured by the Sundial Bridge, we made sure she went to the hospital. There was a couple people that didn't get injured that said they were injured.
Yeah, sure.
So we had the liability situation, and we handled it extremely well with the media and the internet now. I mean, it's out there immediately. And then the following year, which was last year, Sisters, Oregon had the same situation happen where a bull jumped out of their arena. It was a little bit more catastrophic than ours, but they called us, and we had people coach them through what we did, publicly to make sure that people understood, these are wild animals.
Yeah.
And it happens. We do everything we can to prevent it from happening, but you just have to understand that, you got to be careful.
Right.
You got to be careful. But
Well, you guys handled it. So.
yeah, it was.
And you managed to save a woman's life, which is the most incredible part to me.
Yeah.
That she found out she had cancer.
And her stepdad and mom are part of our association.
Oh,
too,
wow.
And a very large part of it.
Yeah. That's
It was a blessing.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And so then you had another kind of, I think, more funny incident, a little bit less serious than that, a couple years ago. So, we got to talk about this too, because I had Tracy Edwards on about a year ago, and it is so interesting to me that you have the Redding Rancheria has such a big part of the Redding Rodeo now, and they sponsor Wednesday night, and Jack Potter comes out, who's the tribal chairman, for most people know that, and he came out on the Stagecoach a couple years ago, and he kind of had a wild ride too.
He did, and in fact, I was inside the stagecoach with a couple other of our members, and Jack loved riding on top of that thing, and he was up there, and he had his cell phone going. And what happened? And this is a Qantas stagecoach. This is a very expensive, well-maintained, beautiful stagecoach. I mean,
It's cool.
There's not anything not polished and shined on it. Well, what happened, and I was on the inside, sitting on the inside, so I kind of saw it materialize, was the rider was running the horses around the arena, and when he turned the last corner in front of the bull chutes, instead of taking a straight shot at the gate, he took an angled shot at the gate. When we got close to the gate, the inside team of horses thought they were going around the arena. The outside thought they were going around the arena. The inside thought they were going out the gate. So they split at the gate. broke one of the crossbars in between the horses, lodged in the ground, pushed the stagecoach up in the air. You can see it on the back two wheels, came down. The horses actually came back together. Half of them were unhitched. We were kind of half unhitched. And the stagecoach rocked back and forth all the way around the arena, hit our bullfighter, J.J. Harrison's bull barrel, or his column barrel, and then came the rest in front of the bull chutes. And my wife saw it, it wasn't as bad inside as it looked outside.
Yeah.
I will tell you, you knew something was going on, and just like watching a trailer down the freeway that's rocking back and forth, it's usually that third rock that flips it. And I was counting 1 rock, 2 rock, and we stopped right before 3. Or we could have potentially gone over. And then you have Jack on the top, with the rider and the helper on there, and it didn't happen. So Jack gets off in that thing, screaming and hollering about, "Whoo, this is great!" Well,
Jack's wild ride.
Yeah, he wants to ride this thing every year.
Yeah,
and he loves it. But that's part of our relationship with the Rancheria, and the Kiwanis group will be back again this year with a stagecoach.
That's cool.
And we do things a little bit differently. They do things a little bit differently at other rodeos, and they're a huge supporter of rodeos. And Kiwanis Group is a organization that supports public utility entities all over the country. So they'll support linemen in one area. They'll support gas installers, water districts, and everything all over the country. And so the owner of Kiwanis loves rodeo, and so he put the stagecoach together, and they go around and promote their company all over the country free of charge.
Wow.
They come free of charge.
Wow.
And we take care of them, but they contribute to the rodeo and the rodeo Western way of life with what they do, and they're fantastic to deal with. So when you come to the Redding Rodeo, when you drive in by the main entrance by the Civic, you'll see their big coach there. It'll say Kiwanis. Feel free when you park your car to stop and tour that thing.
Yeah.
And inside that Kiwanis coach, you will see a commemorative 75th anniversary Redding Rodeo gold rifle made by Henry Firearms hanging in there, and they take it all over the country.
Wow, that's so
and
cool.
our flag.
And that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty special to us.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us about how this Redding Rancheria, Redding Rodeo came together, because I joked with Tracy, and I think she took the joke, because sometimes, you got to be careful. I mean, it's the Cowboys and Indians.
Right.
The Cowboys and Indians, which is,
Yeah.
Tracy said I could say this, so I checked with her first. But it's so interesting that you guys, come together and have this partnership now.
Right.
Kind of tell us about how that came to be.
Well, it's special. And the Native American heritage and rodeo is not a new thing. Pendleton, Oregon, Ellensburg, Oregon, Days of 47 in Utah, Spanish Fork, Utah, they all have some sort of integration with the heritage of our Indian history. So in Redding, what happened was we got approached and they did our powwow at our rodeo grounds, and then they wanted to be part of the rodeo, so we slowly integrated them. Well, as we went through what we were speaking about earlier with the unsolicited offer, was about the time frame to where they became part of the rodeo. Well, those grounds 50 yards from the north end of our stockyards, which is just off of our rodeo arena, is the river's edge of the Sacramento River. Along the river's edge on both sides of the river is Native American burial grounds. That's where their heritage grave sites are.
Wow.
And so Jack blesses our grounds before every rodeo.
That's awesome.
And it's very special to them. It's very special to us to be part of that being special to them. So it's kind of blossomed on that over the years. And this year, once again, Wednesday night will be Native American night for our tribe. They will come out and do ceremonial dances on our grounds, which are beautiful for us to watch.
Yeah, they're
but
amazing.
for them, it's very sacred.
Yeah.
And so it's a spiritual environment, and it's really cool to be part of. And it's part of Redding.
Yeah. No, it's
mean,
really cool. I love Wednesday nights. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's a great night. Great night for rodeo. In fact, I shared this. We're part of the California Circuit Rodeo Association. There's 36 rodeos and PRCA rodeos in California. And I spoke down in Salinas about our relationship with the tribe, and Jack and Maria did some video clips and spoke about their relationship with the rodeo. And I shared that with all the rodeos across the state of California. And they're going to approach their tribes, instead of going to the casino, they're going to go to the rancheria part of it and approach their heritage. Because as a rodeo, you're always looking for sponsors.
Sure,
You go to
sure.
the casino, that's where the money as well. That's
Right.
not what you do. You go to the heritage of what that means to your community and filtrate that into your system to
Yeah.
make it beneficial for all.
That's
and
great.
It's a great,
What a
great
cool
setup.
partnership.
Yeah, it is. We love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This year, you already mentioned that you're going to have a big kickoff party on Saturday,
We
May
are.
9th, which is going to be really fun.
are.
The kids going to do mutton busting in prime time.
Yes.
5:30 to 7:30, which
Yes.
I can't wait. It's been fun the last few years. It's like 1:30 to 3 while everyone's setting up for the steak dance, but
Yeah.
it's like part of the show this year.
Right. So
It's going to be fun.
let me talk about why mutton busting is where it's at.
Oh, it's so fun.
Mutton busting in years past, we have 4 nights of rodeo, right? So you have 12 kids per night. You have 48 kids that can ride in the rodeo. We get such an influx of people wanting to be part of mutton busting. We couldn't possibly fulfill it. So in rodeo, there's a qualifying event prior to rodeo with timed events called slack. And slack is where they rope or run during the day, and their times are positioning to qualify for the main show.
Yeah, it's like qualifying rounds. Kind
Yeah.
of.
So what we do is we do mutton busting slack, and we opened it up, and we will have 150 kids run rodeo mutton busting slack. In mutton busting slack, 150 kids are going to ride. They're going to all get a belt buckle. The belt buckle is sponsored by Steve Roberts at Crown Motors
It's so cool.
and by Plumas Bank. And each kid's going to put that buckle on with pride, and they're going to think that they won the rodeo.
My kid wore it for 3 months straight every day.
Right. So even if they ride it or don't, most kids fall off, right? We don't have a time on them, so it's
Right.
like they're kind of judged on longevity and really how they approach it when they get to the chutes.
Yeah.
Because some dads, like me and you being dads of boys,
Boys, yeah.
you put high expectations on them, and you're living through yourself.
I live vicariously through my son riding mutton busting.
Right.
Absolutely.
So not all of them, but some of them get up to that sheep in the chute, and they're like, they want no part of it. They just want no part
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
And so, we don't do that during the rodeo time because we're on a short window. People want to see it. The kids want to do it. So some kids, they don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
They still get a buckle because
awesome.
they came with the vision that they want to do it. So it's special. So after mutton busting, we're going to have Better with Boots is going to be there with their 50, 60 line dancers, teaching, encouraging people to come line dance. They're going to have net sound there doing the music at that time. At 8 o'clock, we're going to have a fellow by the name of Jake Jacobson. And if you haven't heard of him, YouTube him. He's an up-and-comer. He's out of Reno, Nevada. He's a country western star, and he will be somebody soon someday because when you listen to him, you'll know. And he's going to play a concert for us at the event. We're going to have tri-tip sandwiches available, place to sit and eat, place to dance, place to just kind of hang out and socialize. And it's sponsored by Edward Jones and Associates, and American Beer is also a sponsor of that. So
that's
we're
cool.
proud to have them on board. This is a nuance for this
Yeah.
event. And so that's Saturday.
Okay.
Monday is one of our most specialist days of the year, I guess, if you would, is Special Kids Day. And Special Kids Day is where we bring developmentally challenged children to the rodeo grounds, and we put them on horses and we walk them around the arena. And we do this in conjunction with the Asphalt Cowboys. So you'll have a red shirt on one side of the horse and a yellow shirt on the other, and we'll guide them. Then we'll have a lead person lead the horse and watch these kids go around the arena.
Yeah.
And Todd, it's probably the most touching thing of the year is when you see the smiles on these kids' faces on these horses. They're elated. It's
Yeah.
the most happiest thing in their life, and a lot of them want to go around again.
Yeah.
And we take them.
Yeah.
You know, we don't say no.
Yeah.
But we have like 180 kids coming this year, and they come from, you know, their special schools on buses. And
180 kids.
they're 180
Holy
kids,
cow.
and they'll bus them in. Then we set them up, and then we have a lot of help, and we put them on the horse, and we walk them around the arena. Some of the disabled kids don't like be up in the air on
Right.
large animals. So Ginger from Exodus Farms will have a petting zoo there for
so
the ones that can go brush a horse
Yeah.
and be on the ground with them, and it's just as special to them. So the heart comes out of the Redding Rodeo and the Asphalt Cowboys and the community
Yeah.
to make this event happen. Last year was unfortunate. It rained and we had
Yeah.
to cancel it. But this year, we're locked and ready to go for it. So
That's cool. And you mentioned this at the media lunch a few weeks ago, but I didn't know where it came from until then. So where did this idea come from for Special Kids Day?
So where it all evolved from was John Balma, who was our sheriff
For a
and
long time.
long
Like
time,
40 years or something,
40
wasn't it?
years, and he was in charge of the Shasta County Sheriff's Posse, which was the originators of the Redding Rodeo. John had a son that was, I believe he was 10 or 12, I'm not really sure the age, that had an accident in the home and hit his head on the coffee table and became disabled to a sense. He was at the school out by Monte Vista. This was back in, I believe, the early 50s, and the school still taking care of special needs kids. And
Wow.
it's just, it's incredible what they do. And his boy loved the rodeo, but he couldn't come. He couldn't be part of it because he had this accident.
Yeah.
So what John did was he got a bunch of his buddies together, rodeo, and they trailered up some horses and they took it out to Monte Vista School, and they gave kids rides on horses. And they just saw what it did to these
Yeah.
kids. Well, there's a couple other schools in, I think, off Lake Boulevard at the time, which was way out in the country back then.
Yeah.
And they took the horses to Monte Vista, loaded them up, took them to a couple other schools. Anyway, the event became so popular and so heartwarming
Yeah.
that they decided, let's just do it at the rodeo grounds next year. And that was like in the late 50s. And then they developed Special Kids Day. For me personally, I'll tell you a little story about me personally. I worked for Pepsi for 20 plus years, and Tom Spade, who was a lifelong Asphalt Cowboys, was my boss. And Tom had a son named Ronnie who had Down syndrome. Ronnie was my age, and Ronnie was part of my family, just like rodeo family is
Yeah.
part of everybody's family. But Ronnie was part of my family as Pepsi growing up. And he knew my wife because she was a checker at a grocery store where Ronnie was dropped off to his grandparents, and it was just a special thing. So Special Kids Day was having some health problems, and we couldn't get people to take it over. So I was in a rodeo meeting one night when somebody reached out and said, hey, we need help.
Yeah.
Special Kids Day. So I text my wife, and it says, you want to take over Special Kids Day? And so she said, absolutely. So we did it for Ronnie. Ronnie has since passed away.
Yeah.
We did it for Ronnie because he loved it so much, and I knew what it meant to him.
Yeah.
You know, when I was servicing the rodeo as a Pepsi employee,
Yeah.
and servicing the Asphalt Cowboys as a Pepsi employee in other ways than soda.
Right.
But it was very special to us and very special to Tom. And so that's where I got the history from Cindy McCaslam, who is John Paul Balma's daughter, who is in our Hall of Fame. And she's, adamant in this community. She loves watching. She calls me every year to tell me what I did right and what I did wrong,
Yeah.
which I love to death. But that's where Special Kids Day is such a big part of our rodeo week. And so this year we're going to have our Hall of Fame. Is not going to be Tuesday night during the rodeo. It was very cumbersome for us to try to pull that off.
Right.
So we're going to move it into the September, October timeframe, but we're going to announce our Hall of Fame each night of the rodeo. We will have a Hall of Fame inductee announced. They will be set, or their family, because each one this year is deceased, but their family will be in the president's box in the center of the arena. We'll announce them. We'll do the bios on them and tell who they are, what they're about, what they meant to the Redding Rodeo. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and then we're going to celebrate them later in the year at a gala event, which we'll have other announcements at event as well.
That's cool.
That'll be kind of the format with Hall of Fame. Wednesday night, like we spoke about, is Native American Heritage Night. Can't miss that one. Thursday night is Family Night, which is sponsored by SNL Group, which has been a great sponsor the last few years. And we'll have like family-oriented acts from J.J. Harrison. And
JJ's so great.
Yeah, he's
So
wonderful. And we'll be more family-oriented around the perimeter of the rodeo. It's a great night because the kids can miss school on Friday and they can stay out a little bit later, right?
Yeah.
Friday
It's rodeo week. It should be a holiday.
Oh, yeah, it should be a holiday week. Friday is our Pendleton Blanc beverage night, and it's Bucking Cancer. And that night, with Pendleton and Blanc beverage being sponsors and Bucking Cancer, we'll do our contribution to Jake Mangus and his wonderful staff for our new cancer center.
Yeah.
And we're vowed to give them $40,000 over the next. This will be our third year, so this will be our $30,000 donation, and then next year we'll reach our $40,000 goal, and then we'll restructure and keep going on.
Yeah,
But,
that's cool.
It's to our community, and it's what we do. So that's a very cool night. And then Saturday night. Saturday night is our Sierra Pacific Industries night, and enough said. It's our last night of rodeo. Pepsi is once again sponsoring the fireworks.
That's cool.
I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on our fireworks this year, but with the 250 anniversary, which we're going to celebrate along the whole way, they'll be special on Saturday night. So big happenings. But don't go away. Go to bed a little bit early on Saturday night when you get home, because Sunday night you get to clear your soul, and we're going to have Rodeo Church once again.
Second year rodeo church.
Second year Rodeo Church.
So yeah, I mean, let's talk about rodeo church a little bit. I go to Risen King. I'm good friends with Cole Zick, and I know there's a lot of churches involved.
Yes.
But kind of tell us about how rodeo church started, because I think this is a really cool story, and I think it's just a great part of our rodeo and our rodeo culture and our community.
It is a big part of our community and the culture, and it's a big part of me. During this whole process, and it goes way back to the ad hoc meetings for the lease, me and Joshua Johnson became friends.
Yeah.
We weren't friends when we went in, but we became friends. And he asked me if we ever have done cowboy church at the time. And my wife and I, Aaron, we've been to cowboy churches across in Vegas, and we love it. We felt warm and just kind of like you're in the right place is where you're at. And I said, we thought about it, and I kind of was apprehensive, to be honest with you, because me and my wife are Christians. We're not shy about it, but maybe not everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
And so I was apprehensive about testing the water with it, and I kind of put a kibosh on it about December prior to, and then I had a call in at our pastor at Valley Christian,
Travis.
Said a few things that kind of said, I need to do this. And so I positioned myself with a lot of anxiety and presented to our board, and our board unanimously approved. There was one that didn't, but it had nothing to do with the church. It had to do with cleanup. Anyway, and so we decided to do it. And so I called Cole, I called Josh, I said, we're on. This is game on. So at that time, I looked at Todd Pierce's videos. And if you're not a believer, you can still watch these videos and kind of get a resignation of really who this guy is and why he's so popular. And one of the videos he had was at a state prison somewhere in Utah or Montana. And I watched these prisoners come out of their cells, out to the courtyard area where they had a round pen set up with Todd's going to break this wild horse and ride it within an hour. And these prisoners came out, and they were in their wife beaters with all their tats and their angry faces, their arms crossed across their chest, and they were mad at the world, and understandably why. At the end of the video, they were on their knees crying. Visibly, nobody told them to cry. Nobody even told them to watch this thing, but they watched this thing, and it changed them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't change everybody, but when I saw that, I was excited about what we could bring to this community. It's free.
Yeah.
You don't have to go. You don't have to stand there the whole time. It's not in a brick and mortar church. Nobody's telling you what to do. We're watching a man break a horse with his relationship with the horse like God's relationship is with us. And it's the same aspect. And he'll explain it. I encourage anybody listening to this to watch this happen.
Yeah.
So we were hoping for 3,000 people. You know, where they were asking how many people,
1,500,
how many
2,000.
people in the grandstands?
The grandstand fits about 7,000.
The
totally
grandstand,
loaded.
the whole arena, the most we've had is about 6,200 for rodeo.
Okay.
And I'm standing in front of our clubhouse watching people come in and watching their faces, because, you know, they're going to come to see something, experience that's going to either change their life or they're going to have a thought about it. And they kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. We kept opening up areas around there. I go, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We had over 7,000 people last year.
It was incredible.
And it was very warming. And I told our group from Rodeo Church Group, watch their faces when they walk in and watch their faces when they walk out and see if we accomplished our goal. We did.
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't take numbers or write anything down or follow people around to see what they're doing in their life. You just know what happens to people when they come to this event that maybe are struggling in life. Maybe they're believers, maybe they're not believers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be, or you don't have to leave thinking you are now.
Yeah.
But it'll open up your heart and your mind to options in your life to make your life better.
Yeah.
That's really the way
And it's so, I mean, it's so cool. It really feels like you know, it's unfair to say a fifth night of rodeo, but just it's part of rodeo, and, you know, the vendors are there, and, you know, you can still have a beer, and, you know, get a cocktail or whatever you want to do. And it's Chad Bushnell is you know, a pretty well-known artist around here, and he's going to be singing that night as well and performing. And again, this is a free event. And people donate with no recognition to help put it on, because it does cost money.
Yeah.
You guys put a lot of work in at the Redding Rodeo Association, as well as, you know, a lot of churches kind of helping fundraise and put these things together. But it's a cool night. And it feels like it makes sense. You know, you go to the rodeo and you hear that invocation every night, and oh my gosh, that guy is incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
And there are 8 churches, and I'm going to try to remember. We got Valley Christian, Pathway, Anderson Community Church, Risen King, obviously, the Stirring and Gathering. Who else am I missing?
Oh gosh,
I think that's it.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Did you get
it keeps growing.
Yeah.
But those are the churches that are involved now, and they're bringing teams in to help, you know, set up, clean up. You know, Rodeo Association is by Saturday night or wore out.
Yeah, you guys are.
And that was one of my big fears, is, you know, putting any more work on our crew is a big ask. So these church congregations come in a big way and clean this facility from a Saturday night crowd to prep for Sunday, and then they clean up after the Sunday event. So Monday morning we come there, and that rodeo grounds is pretty much spotless.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing event.
What a cool night.
Yeah.
I
So,
can't wait.
yeah, if you want to know more about it in a different way aspect, your wife, for example, had an interview with Cowboy Lifestyle Network, which is a nationwide network that does stories about rodeos all over the country. We're in with them, and they talk about Redding Rodeo and the events of Redding Rodeo and some of the stuff we talked about. But Erica did an interview with one of their personnel who I met on a Zoom call, a very Christian man, and she spoke with him about Rodeo Church. And read that article that Erica did, and it explains it a little bit more. But I didn't want to break Todd's thunder by any way, but she had over 800,000 hits.
Wow, that's
on
amazing.
On that article.
She's kind of a big deal. I don't know. I don't know what she's really doing, but she's kind of a big deal, and a lot of people like to have her around, especially me.
It's a great way to end a great week.
Yeah.
And it's for our community, and it's another aspect, you know, that really reaches out to our community as a whole. It's not one church or one congregation or you're unified with any. It's just about you as an individual coming to see something that you want to watch. If you don't like it, you leave.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
If you like it, stay. And if you want to have questions, there's people to answer questions for you or not.
Yeah.
So it's a great layout.
Yeah, and Todd Pierce is incredible. And, you know, the idea of breaking wild horse, it's a horse that's never been ridden, never been saddled. And he's able to do that. I mean, he's not necessarily going out to BLM land to wrangle a horse from a helicopter, but it's a wild horse. I mean,
it's an unbroken
It's an
horse.
unbroken
Yeah.
horse. It's never been
Right.
ridden, never been saddled, and he does that over the course of anywhere from, it ranges.
It ranges, it does, and it's a trust factor that he puts
It's
out there. So
it's pretty it's powerful.
very powerful. So.
Yeah, I didn't really prep you for this, but it's one of my questions I ask every guest. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you,
Okay.
where do you see Shasta County in 10 years?
I see Shasta County evolving population-wise simply because of where we live.
Yeah.
And the influx of people in the large communities like the Bay Area, even Sacramento area and Southern California, it's getting crowded.
Yeah.
And I think they're migrating up here for a better way of life, and you can't blame them. I think we're going to get our governments lined up and more in line with what our growth factor is, with our county and our city leaders are on track now, I believe. So I think Redding's going to hinge a lot on the history with our downtown, the way our downtown looks, our rodeo, our cool April nights, and all of the above around that. We're gonna hinge on that for the new people that come in our community because they absolutely love that stuff.
Right.
Because that's what they're missing in life. That's what their kids are missing in life is how we were brought up in this community and in Trinity County for you as well. So that's where I see us as very unified in a sense to where we're all going to be closer on the same page. We'll have our hurdles. We'll have our homeless population hurdles. I really would like to see our recovery programs be more pertinent and more upfront. I know that they're working on that, and I'm part of that as well. So I can see the growth there, which will really change our children.
Yeah.
Because right now, the people that are homeless that have children, those children are going to grow up and be the next people in our community that are going to be challenged.
Sure.
And so if we can fix those issues on the bottom end, 10 years from now, we'll have a stronger community and a better place for people that have struggles to have outlets to grow their life and be better and be blessed like we have been blessed.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think our community is what makes our community special. All the things and the legacy and the history. So that's great.
Yep.
Thanks, Ted.
You bet. Thank you.
The City Builders podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the chamber, and we could not do business without them.